Become a member, sign in, and start streaming today.
Let's get through our favorite part of the show, Disgrace of the Week. As always, Patty, please start us off.
Well, return to the legislature, where today Representative Holtorf told Tom Sullivan, whose son was killed at the Aurora Theater shootings, essentially to get over it.
David.
The legislature has a bill to crack down on the county commissioners by saying that a county board of public health, its leaders can never be fired unless they neglect their duties. So they would, in a sense, be immune from the control of the elected people of the county. And it would likewise say that in small counties where the health board duties are often performed by commissioners themselves, that would be prohibited again. The bottom line of that is the Colorado Department of Health, which has only limited authority to issue orders, depends on the counties to use their actual legal authority to duplicate and carry out what the Department of Health wants. And since they won't go along with a big brother, there's an attempt to in some ways unconstitutionally, perhaps, crack down on county autonomy.
Natasha, we go to you for your Disgrace of the Week.
Yes, on January 29th, Governor Polis released some adjustments to the vaccine rollout, including some moves that were very much lauded in the press, as rightfully so. I'm not here to argue those. Personally, I hope that everyone has equitable access to the vaccine as soon as possible. My concern were with some of the groups that were both pushed down and, in fact, removed. There used to be a more general immunosuppressed group that was included in the vaccine rollout. That's no longer there. It's been replaced by more specific conditions, but there are many conditions that aren't listed there. And as a journalist who asks a lot of questions, I can't help but do that. And I have questions about what happens to a family that has an immunosuppressed child. What happens to someone who's been battling cancer but finished their treatments in December? What happens to somebody who has a lung disease that's not listed on the list right there now? I hope that this is a work in progress and that they will continue to address some of those groups that may not be currently listed, but that would benefit from early access to the vaccine.
Penn, we go to you next.
I think this falls into the category of bad judgment, but to State Representative Ron Hanks, who was, to my knowledge, the only Colorado elected official who went to Washington, D.C. to participate in what became the riot, to stand with the supporters of the former president. Just not a good look, and I think it'll have ongoing repercussions this legislative session.
Time to say something nice about somebody. Patty?
Nick Murder, who took into his own hands, which the state hasn't been able to do, he created Vaccine Finder for all the people who are having so much trouble finding appointments. There may not be any open, but at least you'll know.
David?
There's a nonprofit in Colorado Springs called the Independence Center, and they are distributing masks that have a clear space in them so that someone you're talking to can see your lips move. And that is great for people who are hard of hearing or deaf. And it's also actually great for teachers who are teaching students who have learning disabilities where the audio isn't enough for them, and being able to see the face helps a lot.
Hear, hear. Natasha?
Well, the groundhog saw his shadow earlier this month, and so did the Mars rover, Perseverance. I mean, talk about a major win. I think anyone loves some good news right now, but this is such an incredible feat. So congratulations to everyone involved with sending the Perseverance to Mars.
Here. Penn, we go to you.
Just a shout out to a number of the nonprofits in our community, particularly a number of the churches who have worked with the state and other health organizations to get allocations of the vaccine and have been working through their own independent networks, whether it be their parishioners or friends of their parishioners, to get the vaccine distributed as quickly as possible to as many people as possible. It's not something they had to do, but the fact that they stood up and decided it needed to be done and they're following through with it is something that should be commended.
Well, for some of our audience, it's a disgrace of the week. For some of our audience, it's to say something nice. But Rush Limbaugh's passing reminded me that way back in the early 90s, the Rush Limbaugh television show was actually something that was on KBDI, PBS 12 back then, and we actually had T-shirts because we pledged it because, well, why not? A legacy, love him or hate him, certainly a legacy that is undeniable as we go into what is now completely affected in a different time than it was in the early 90s.